The wind, a ghost of a sigh across Xylos-7's barren plains, found purchase in the crags of the coastal caves, a desolate chorus against the rhythmic wash of a leaden, unnameable sea. My boots crunched on coarse, ochre grit, each step a deliberate punctuation in the vast, echoing silence. This was my sanctuary, my laboratory, a place where the planet's geological secrets lay exposed, waiting for the meticulous eye of Seth Raj. I was here to catalog the unusual, to trace the alien contours of a world previously dismissed as inert, resource-poor, utterly devoid of interest. Meticulousness was my anchor, rationality my compass in this immense, indifferent void. My handheld scanner, a familiar weight in my gloved hand, hummed its diagnostic lullaby, painting the cave walls with a cool, analytical light. I traced the intricate striations of rock, mapping the mineral veins, charting the ancient ebb and flow of a world that predated human conception of time itself. My breath plumed, a fleeting cloud against the frigid air. Days bled into weeks, marked only by the slow accumulation of data, the precise calibration of instruments, and the quiet satisfaction of scientific rigor. I was an observer, a recorder, a lone sentinel of knowledge. Then, the anomaly. Not on my screens, not in the expected geological strata, but beneath the overhang, half buried in a slump of ancient, petrified mud. My boot nudged something harder than stone, something that resisted the earth's patient embrace. I knelt, brushing away layers of dust and time, my fingers tracing an edge that felt wrong. Not sharp, not smooth, but a confluence of angles that defied linear understanding. As more of it emerged, my breath hitched. This was no geological formation. This was a non-Euclidean artifact, a construct of impossible geometry. Its facets met at angles that should not exist, curved in ways that contradicted all known physics, yet it was undeniably solid, impossibly ancient. An inexplicable fatigue, sudden and profound, washed over me. My eyelids felt heavy, my thoughts sluggish. I blinked, rubbing at my temples. Isolation, the constant hum of life support, the unending grayscale palette of Xylos-7, these things wore at a man. I rationalized the weariness, attributing it to the long hours, the thin atmosphere, the sheer physical exertion of exploration. I whipped my head around, but the entrance was empty, only the ceaseless wind shaping specters from dust. I dismissed it, a trick of the wind, the peculiar acoustics of the cave, the gnawing loneliness playing tricks on an overtired mind. But the artifact held me. Its unsettling geometry, the persistent hum, the way it seemed to drink the very light around it, it was a puzzle demanding to be solved, a language screaming to be deciphered. My rational mind, the meticulously ordered engine of my being, seized upon it with an almost desperate hunger. This was unprecedented. This was the discovery that would redefine everything. My research shifted. The geological survey, once my singular focus, receded into the background, replaced by an obsessive compulsion to study this impossible object. Hours bled into days again, but now they were consumed by the artifact's silent command. I traced its impossible lines, ran every conceivable scan, yet it yielded no answers, only deeper questions. I attributed them to the subtle atmospheric shifts, the peculiar magnetic fields of Xylos-7, the simple psychological strain of solitude. My mind, I told myself, was simply adapting to an extreme environment. It pulsed, a low, steady thrum that resonated not just through my bones, but through something deeper, something vital. An unnatural connection bloomed within me, a sense of profound intimacy with an object that should have remained utterly alien. Unexplained power fluctuations in auxiliary sensor arrays. Recommend diagnostic review. I barely registered the words, my gaze fixed on the artifact's shifting, internal light. Dismissed, I murmured, my voice hoarse, my attention utterly consumed. Log as environmental. Interference. Continue current analysis protocols. The glitches were irrelevant. Only the artifact mattered now. The hum had become the very rhythm of my existence within the coastal caves. It was no longer a sound I heard, but a vibration I felt, a resonance in my bones, a thrum against the very fabric of my thoughts. Days, or perhaps weeks, had blurred into an indistinguishable continuum, marked only by the artifact's waxing and waning luminescence. My ship, a distant metallic echo in the cavern's maw, felt like a forgotten shell, its precise instruments rendered meaningless against the raw, pulsing truth emanating from the object before me. I traced the impossible geometries etched into its surface, my fingers brushing against the cool, alien material. The patterns shifted beneath my gaze, not physically, but perceptually, morphing into symbols that defied terrestrial logic, yet spoke to a nascent understanding within me. Sleep had become a luxury I could not afford, each attempt at rest dissolving into vivid, waking nightmares. The damp cave walls, once just rock, now seemed to breathe, their contours rippling with an unseen current. Shadows elongated, twisting into forms that possessed too many limbs, too many eyes, shapes that writhed in the periphery of my vision, whispering. The whispers were not in any language I knew, yet I understood them. My uniform, once crisp, was now stained and torn. The taste in my mouth was perpetually metallic, a testament to dehydration and neglect. I barely remembered to eat, the synthetic nutrient paste tasteless, swallowed only out of a primal, failing instinct. My scientific rationality, once my bedrock, had eroded, sand-like, beneath the relentless tide of these revelations. Every sensor reading from my ship, every routine report from the AI, became suspect. Atmospheric pressure stable, the AI would report, its voice a calm, digital cadence. But I would hear a tremor in it, a hidden message. Stable for now, Seth. But what is stable in a universe that is constantly unraveling? I began to see changes in the ship itself. The gleam of polished steel seemed to ripple, the angles of the control panel subtly askew. Was it my vision, or was the vessel, too, succumbing to the artifact's influence? I felt watched, not by the ship's internal cameras, but by something vast and ancient, peering through the artifact, through my very eyes. One night, or perhaps it was day, time had lost all meaning, the artifact pulsed with an intensity one hadn't witnessed before. It wasn't an artifact in the traditional sense, not a tool or a record. It was an organ. A conduit. A living, parasitic entity, ancient beyond comprehension, anchored to this desolate rock. And I was not deciphering its language. It was implanting its language, its knowledge, its very essence into me. I was becoming its vessel, a receiver, a lens through which it could perceive this sliver of reality. The horrifying discovery erupted in my mind with the force of a supernova. It wasn't merely influencing me, it was consuming me, melding with my consciousness, rewriting the very code of my being. My hands, trembling violently, reached for the console, for the emergency cutting tools. I had to sever the connection, destroy it, break free. With a guttural cry, I aimed the searing blue beam at the artifact's core. The light pulsed, not with destruction, but with a vibrant, terrible affirmation. The beam simply dissipated against its surface, absorbed without so much as a scorch mark. And then, from the depths of the artifact, a new hum began, deeper, more resonant, echoing not through the cave, but directly within my skull. It was a sound of profound contentment, a silent, terrible laugh. I dropped the torch, my knees buckling beneath me. I was not merely bound, I was integrated. I was no longer Seth Raj, xenolinguist. I was a part of it. And the universe, as I had known it, was a lie. A paradox unfolded beneath my fingertips. The cold, unyielding metal seemed to breathe, its atomic structure shimmering, hinting at a fluidity no solid could possess. My ship, my sanctuary, was becoming a canvas for the artifact's silent song. The hum, once a faint whisper, now thrummed through the deck plates, vibrating in my teeth, resonating with the very marrow of my bones. I retreated from the bulkhead, my gaze sweeping across the familiar console. The buttons, once crisp and defined, now seemed to melt at their edges, their symbols writhing like trapped insects. The main viewer displayed Xylos-7's desolate expanse, but the crags and canyons pulsed with an inner light, revealing geometries that defied logic. Triangles folded into squares, lines converged on themselves from impossible angles. My mind screamed for order, but the universe offered only chaos, meticulously crafted. A primal urge, a magnetic pull, seized me. It wasn't a thought, but a deep-seated knowing, that the source of this unraveling lay not within the ship, but on the planet's scarred surface. Specifically, it drew me towards the coastal caves, a labyrinthine network I had previously catalogued as geologically unremarkable. Now, they beckoned, a maw of ancient stone promising not shelter, but revelation. Each movement felt sluggish, my limbs heavy, as if the very air inside the vessel had grown viscous. The hatch cycled with a wet, sucking sound, and I stepped onto the ochre dust of Xylos-7. The artifact, nestled in its containment field within the ship, pulsed brighter, its resonance guiding my every step. The walk to the coastal caves was a blur of distorted perception. The sky, a bruised purple, swirled with phantom constellations, stars winking in patterns that shifted even as I perceived them. Within the caves, the hum intensified, not just a sound but a pressure, a physical weight on my skull. The walls themselves were alive, veins of phosphorescent minerals throbbing with an inner light. The air grew heavy, the cave floor slick beneath my boots. I moved deeper, compelled, past stalactites that twisted like gnarled, forgotten limbs and stalagmites that rose like silent, accusing fingers. Then, I saw it. Not another artifact, but the source. The cave opened into a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in a shimmering haze. And there, etched into the living rock of the chamber itself, was the glyph, the impossible script from the artifact, writ large. It covered every surface, a cosmic tapestry of incomprehensible meaning. As I stared, the lines began to shift, to coalesce, not into words, but into ideas. My mind became a conduit. I saw it all. Not in images, but in pure, unadulterated understanding. The universe was not empty, not indifferent. It was a single, vast, living consciousness, eternally dreaming. And we, humanity, every star, every galaxy, were but fleeting thoughts in its slumber. Our history, our struggles, our triumphs, less than the briefest flicker in the dream mind of an entity so immense, so ancient, that our entire existence was an inconsequential, passing fancy. We were motes of dust in the eye of a sleeping titan, and the artifact, my artifact, was a single, forgotten nerve ending, a receptor for its vast, unfathomable dreaming. This wasn't malevolence, it was something far worse, utter, absolute disregard. My consciousness, Seth Raj, Xenolinguist, fractured. The boundaries of my flesh began to blur, my perception stretching beyond the confines of my skull. I was no longer seeing the glyphs, I was part of them, my own atoms resonating with the cosmic truth. My individual self, my identity, a fragile construct, began to dissolve, melting into the vast, indifferent tapestry of the cosmic dream. My body became a vessel, my mind a window, through which the universe looked upon itself, seeing its own fleeting, terrifying nature. I tried to scream, to lash out, to reclaim the solid ground of my sanity, but there was nothing left to scream with, no ground to stand upon. I was the cave, the dust, the dreaming entity, a single, infinitesimal ripple in an ocean of unknowing. The final revelation was not a truth to be understood, but an absorption, an obliteration. Days later, or perhaps eons, a faint, distorted signal emanated from Xylos-7. It was not a distress call, nor a log entry,